Comic fam? It's been a damn minute, but we're back with the Bags and Boards podcast, number 36. And I'm at the table with not just my good friend, not just an Overstreet price guide advisor, but we're here with Jeff, the Golden Age Guru. You put up the shelves in here, man, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was the last time I really saw it, and that was the only thing in here. So all this extra flair, kind of nice, man.
Well, people don't know that the last studio that we were in was under some very strenuous conditions. You know, we were in a garage. We had lawnmowers going at random times of the day, children playing. I was like the mean neighbor. I can't even tell you how many times I left the house to be like, hey kids, can you please just go kick the ball over there? I'm recording things. I got John Boy Myers on the line. And legit, man, I had to be like, John Boy, man, I'm just doing this out of my garage. And they're playing out there. I'll be right back. Just give me 10 minutes. You know, I'm like paying off the landscapers to go start the lawn trimming over there because I just got to get this take done. But I digress. We're in a new studio. I'm at the table with a homie, and we're both vaccinated, which is really exciting. Start doing this more often.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that last place was a bit difficult. It was unheated and uncooled.
Oh, yeah, the temperature. That's another thing to mention.
Yeah, on top of the surrounding neighbors, we had to deal with the elements. And then, yeah, I got my first vaccine, and like, dude, I gotta tell you, I haven't told you yet. For the last 3-4 days, I took it like 5 days ago, I have like this numbness tingling in 2 of my fingers. So I'm getting like this weird side effect I have to now address. I've been waiting for a phone call back all day.
Dude, you gotta get your vaccine no matter what. The side effects go away. It's worth it, right? Like, let's make sure we make that clear. But man, the first day after getting my vaccine, I was out. Can you let Butch in? Butch, the comic gato, sometimes he demands to be in here. And if he wants to be on the show, he's on the show. Some members even say like, oh, bring the cat on the show more. And you can't make the cat be on the show. First off, that's like borderline animal abuse. You can't make your cat do anything. Your cat decides what it's going to do. He essentially owns this place. You want to come up here, buddy? We'll see. He's going to bug you, dude, so I'll try to get him up here.
That's all right, man. I got a couple cats. I'm good.
But come on, buddy. The elements of the last place were horrendous. In the summer, it was too hot. In the winter, it was too cold. And we were chatting about vaccines because in my new place, I'm not having those types of issues anymore. But when I did get my vaccine, the next day was so brutal. I wasn't sick, but I was hot. I was really hot, regardless of the temperature in the place. It was like normal conditions. And I felt so lackadaisical, like lazy. I was like Pip the Troll in it, you know, get me a loincloth status, break out the marshmallows, have some s'mores during Infinity Gauntlet. And I literally couldn't do anything for a solid 48 hours. It was like I was drunk, but I wasn't. But I wanted to be because I'm like minus well at that point because of how weird I felt. It was almost like a depression, but not being depressed. It was very interesting. And I couldn't lift my arm up. My arm was so sore. Did you get the soreness at all?
I had a little bit of soreness in my arm for like 2 days, day and a half. So like someone just punched it really hard, and that's about it. And then all of a sudden, just this tingling started happening. And so, I don't know, outside of that, no temperatures yet. I have to get round 2. So I'm a little concerned if round 1 caused like this weird tingling. I don't know what's going to happen in round 2.
You're going to feel in your toes what's going to happen. But you know what? We're back in the studio chilling with my homies. And we do kick it like every single day. And we are now going to be chatting about a bunch of comic book stuff. Expensive paper. If you're watching this on YouTube, Comic Fam, well, make sure to hit the subscribe button, slap the like button. We got a giveaway on deck. We'll do one at some point in the video. But this podcast is available on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes. And we got a lot of fun stuff planned. You know, we're going to showcase some stuff that we just got. You know, we're continually trying to bring a little bit of the stuff that we're dealing with throughout the week that kind of comes and goes. You know, we get comics and they're gone sometimes. Sometimes they stick around, but I'm trying to encourage the members to bring them here, especially you, Jeff. Spice it up. Introduce the comic fans to some awesome things they don't typically get to see. And you brought a stack of books that are so impressive today. Some of the best books that I've seen since starting the show. And I'm talking about even like the stuff we brought for the variant shows that we did. And I'm talking about like Eris, shout out to him, where we covered the table in Bronze Age goodness, multiple Hulk 181s. Talking about the Golden Age show, where we had like, you know, early action and a ton of first appearances that are just super expensive that I don't even get to see more than the convention scene. And with the convention scene having been long gone, basically forgotten until at some point in the year. You've been to some conventions, it sounds like. I'm excited to see him back at the table, is my point. So we're going to get into some fun things. We have some stuff to show the comic fam, and the heart of the conversation is going to be about collection finds, ones that we've traveled to, you know, put some miles in on the car, some airline miles, you know, packing some luggage. We're going to get into it. We've chatted with some members of the community. We reached out to some friends in the dealer circle. I reached out to Very Gary, shout out, talked to the comic sensei Russ Bright. We got some good stories here. And we also have some comic books that members need to know about. But I'm not talking about like the OG members, the advanced members who know their Overstreet guide from front and back. I'm talking about the new members, the more novice collectors, members who aren't looking to drop a crazy amount of money on comics that are underappreciated and undervalued for quite a long time. So let's get into it with the first thing I wanted to show you, Jeff. Comics Pro Line. This is a company out in Canada. They make some dynamite bags and boards. We actually get all of our bags. We do like the 2 mil bags for the mystery mail call. ComicTom101.com to join that. We're in the May open enrollment. Every single member gets a Sabine Rich She-Hulk variant of Woman of Marvel issue #1. And we get this comment a lot, like, dude, what bags do you use? Because we get the thicker bags because we want them to present super well to our community. Got to go all out, you know? Shout out to the MMC members. This right here is from the company. Shout out Tony. He's our bag and board dealer. And this guy, whenever I talk to him, dude, because, you know, like I used to dabble with some pot in like high school and stuff, you know, back before it was legal in Washington State. And I'm getting like flashbacks to having to secure that kind of thing from back in the day when I talked to this gentleman. Because whenever I talk to him, it's like talking to a drug dealer. He's like, oh, dude, you're not going to believe it, man. These new bags we just got, we just added the resealable. When you take that strip off, the sound, just the sound of that strip, it's gonna just come right off. It's gonna be beautiful. And all the boards, dude, talking to him about boards is like, I don't even want to pretend to know the different thickness, like off the cuff, but he just will start riffing about how you just need to get the thicker board with the certain gloss. And oh, it just came out, it's gonna change the market. And Tony knows what I'm talking about because it's legit. Like when you see some of these products that they're creating out there, it does enhance the comic, like to a dramatic extent. They released clear plastic boards. Now, this is an amazing product. It's not something for every single comic book. They're expensive. It's like over $1 a board, you know? And why would you pay $1 a board, right? Well, it's because of this right here. I have a comic from the PC I wanted to show you, Jeff. Take a look at this. This is from Denmark. You know, I love me some foreign books, but this has a hard plastic backer, and you can explain what the comic fam, to our audio listeners, what you're seeing here.
All right, so we got a Dracula #8. Where's this from?
It's from Denmark.
He's in Denmark. Okay, and then back cover. See, that's what I like about these foreign books, man. They got a great front cover and a great back cover, and this is a cool painted cover. It's got like this melted Swamp Thing creature, and then like
it's ridiculous,
a female Two-Face almost.
Yep.
On here, and it's just it's a cool book. But this clear board, the reason I can see it is because it's got a clear backing board, so I get to enjoy the front and the back, and I don't have to take it out to see the condition fully. I mean, I would anyway. By the way, pro tip, I don't care if it's in this or not. If I'm going to grade a book, I'm going to take it out of this freaking thing.
Absolutely, you got to, man.
And I did that. I just went to a convention for like a one-day convention. I didn't expect to. I didn't even know how I felt about conventions.
How did it feel when you were there?
It felt amazing. It felt so good to be on a con floor again with people enjoying the hobby.
I miss it, man.
Okay, yeah, and you will miss it when you get there. But I also felt overwhelmed because seeing all these books in the market and the prices that they're at all in one place was really hard for me to compute and understand what was a good value to purchase. Okay, I mean, I still bought stuff, but it was different. It felt so different because it's been so long, and now to have it all there at one time. And all these prices of where they're at now was sticker shock all over the place and trying to understand it and like compute what's happening.
It's like you have to go to a convention. I'm assuming, because I haven't been to one. I don't even know if I'm going to go to one this year. You know, there's like variants to the virus and all that kind of stuff. So I'm still making a decision. December, I believe, is Emerald City, and New York is still planned. And also San Diego is planned as well. And I think actually
SDCC is not happening.
It's not?
I don't think it's happening.
For some reason, I thought that it was happening a month before, but I could be wrong.
Fact check us down in the comments section. Let us know if SDCC is happening.
Man, it would be really nice to be able to go to New York. I really want to go. But it's like I'm imagining that if it is across the board, as you described, which I would assume it is because prices have never been like this. This is comic history, being made weekly almost, that you kind of have to go into these show floors with an idea of what you're shopping for a bit more, you know? You're either looking for something in particular and you already know the price and you're gonna pay what the going rate is because you're hoping that it's gonna go up. Or
on this book that no one was specking on.
You gotta find something that no one's specking on, something that no one's thinking about. And this particular book is in my PC and I wanted to bring it out to you to show you something because I knew you went to a convention recently. Something that was told to me by Tony was, dealers who are getting these, they're starting to put the clear backer on the front of the comic. Now, the reason why they're doing that is because when they put it on the show floor, what he told me was they're trying to prevent the pokers from poking the book. And you are an advocate of preaching to as many people as you can to never poke a comic book. And we did a convention etiquette video a while back that really made its rounds. I'm surprised how often that video is used. But man, you really went in on the pokers.
Yeah, pokers are just somebody who will come to your wall, let's say you're a dealer, and they feel that they need to physically touch the book on the wall to prove a point to a friend, family member, whoever is accompanying them, because that's what it always is. It's always like,
you feel it,
oh,
though.
I have this book.
Don't you feel it a little bit though when you're like looking at a book and you're like excited about it? You kind of want to touch it, but you know that you gotta keep your hands.
It's not your book. Don't poke
don't
it, because
touch
when
it.
you poke that book, A, you're potentially damaging it. B, you're shaking the entire freaking wall. Okay, because these things are generally made of like PVC piping.
We could do a whole show about the like ways people make their walls and how it's basically put together with shoestrings, sometimes string cheese. You know, they're like literally stringing the cheese out and they're tying it. And you know, all right, everything's great as long as you don't touch it or blow on it.
Yeah, and I don't think putting a clear plastic on the front is going to help with the poking. It might help the poke, but I think it's going to shake more of the wall because it's a wider, solid base. But regardless, I get it. What I was trying to say when I was telling you about the con is that I met somebody who had a clear plastic on the back at the con. And I asked him to take out the book, and he looked at me like, well, that's why I have a clear plastic on there. It's like, yeah, that's great. I get to see the front and back cover, but I need to count the pages. I need to check the interiors. I got to see what else is going on.
It's like, I'm dealing with someone who knows their stuff.
Yeah. But I graded it. I was like, I don't care, man. Like, I need to look at the book myself.
But for the PC though, maybe not to protect the wall from falling down. It may actually add to some problems with your wall. But for the PC, man, it looks so dope. And when you take the board out of the case, to, you know, because they only come in like, I think it's like 5 to a case. You actually have to remove the plastic from it because they put a thin plastic layer over the board so that it stays shiny and stays clear. So anyways, I definitely recommend it. And this isn't sponsored or anything. I just, we use them for our mystery mail call and I really dig this product. I put all my foreigns in there. I decided that I didn't, for those of you who don't know, I am collecting a full set of Tomb of Dracula 1. It started with that one right there, man, that you got me. We watched it get graded, my man. Well, actually, we watched another one and you replaced it because it had a white pager on it. And you promised, you said, yo, if I get a white pager, I will swap it out for the price. And you did me the honor of swapping it out. However, that book is not as nice as the other one.
Yeah, you became a paper snob. And
I did, dude.
I blame myself for that a little bit.
Well, I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, you know, the print is, it's a little off, you know. It's beautiful. It's white pages. I like it more. It's worth more money. But damn, that book that we saw get graded is gorgeous. And you hooked me up with the white pager and I'm very happy with it. But that started a whole avalanche of, now I want to get a full foreign set from every country that did it. I have copies from Spain. I have an Australian copy. Of course, the copy from Denmark. And the hunt still continues. It's a tough book, man. All of them.
It is a very, very tough book.
He's trying to do
man.
it. Is.
I'm not calling that a tough book, man. I mean, foreign tough. How about that?
How many? And the foreigns are tough, but the tombs. How many tombs did you get just in this last week? Because okay, for those of you who don't know, I have a dealer account. I let my homies. that we kick it like every day, and they all use the same dealer account so that we can, save on everything. And Russ also used the same account. He's actually getting his on here pretty soon. But this dude hits me up and he goes, dude, did you see how many Tomb of Dracula ones that freaking Golden Age guru submitted to CGC? Damn. How many did you get in the last couple weeks?
Well, it just got to my mailbox today, so I couldn't pick it up yet. And I submitted 5 or 6. I got 198 and like 2 9.6s and 9.4. So I'm really specking on that Bronze Age time frame and 9.8s.
That's where my head was at right now. I'm looking for Bronze Age.
Yeah, and 9.6 even, 9.8s. But those picture frame Marvels, which is like a picture frame Marvel, which we'll show an example later, is a comic that's got that picture type frame where all the action's in a little window, right? But that time frame of like the early 70s, 71, 72, it's like mostly all black covers, and the print run was less than like in 74. So it's just a really sweet spot with new characters being developed and just a huge explosion of the Marvel's universe. So I love that time frame, trying to find my 9.8s, and I'm going to keep as many as I can, because really right now just letting go of any blue chip key is like, what's the point? You can't replace it within a week.
That's right, man. It's not how it used to be. Actually, let's get into some books that are tough to replace, some books that we brought to the table. I have some books that, I took some books out and I thought, hey, I wanted to share these with the comic fam. These are some that I recently got in. They happen to all be spec books. And then you told me what you were bringing, and they're all spec books as well. They're all investment books, and we're going to show them to the comic fam. So let's actually get into it. The first one that I wanted to show off to the community is kind of in theme for a big reveal later in the conversation. Stay tuned to the end of the video, because Jeff brought a giant book, and I'm not talking about giant size. Giant size is small compared to what he brought to the table today. But I have a copy of Green Lantern number 20, and you'll notice that barcode, my brother. I'm all in on the newsstands. I'm hunting for them. Some of these modern books are just too available. There's too many of them. And going after the newsstand, likely under 10% of the market, and a 9.8 is looking just, I'm aggressive on it. I really want to secure those over the standard copy for the most part when the book is a couple $100. And we have the first appearance of one of my favorite superheroes, happens to be a Green Lantern from Puerto Rico. We have Jessica Cruz, and we know that HBO's coming. A Green Lantern series is in development, and the slate of characters included Jessica Cruz. And this is a book that I've been purchasing, finding in dollar bins for over a decade now. Can you believe it? It's been a decade since the New 52.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're speaking another language to me when you're talking about like this type of time frame. But so this came out in 2013. It's like a square bound.
Yeah, it's thick. And, she only appears in like a one panel cameo, but it's a great book, and it's one that I'm specking on. I felt like it was a good one to get.
What's the current market on 9.8 white?
9.8 white, couple $100. It's pretty affordable, but the newsstand doesn't come up very often. So when I saw one, I may have paid like an extra $100 for it, but I haven't seen one since. That is graded at 9.8. Now you also brought some really cool ones, and I'm very excited to chat with you about this. What did you get?
So I've been specking on Shang-Chi for knowing that, it's obviously in the works and coming for a while. So I've been putting away really nice copies and slowly submitting them, because the submission process takes time, and I keep getting more.
What'd you think of the trailer, man? And I'm pulling up prices just while you chat. Just keep talking.
Yeah, no, I dug the trailer. I mean, looks like a cool action flick, and hopefully it's got a good story. And if it's MCU, there's going to be things in there to really, make it exciting for everybody. And they're going to throw in characters that you didn't expect. So I'm ready for any really MCU movie, and I think this hits just at the right time where more people are going to be going to the theater to watch it. I think Black Widow just kind of missed its window, unfortunately.
The one thing that I was actually really excited about of the Shang-Chi trailer was that they changed the origin completely from the comics. I was wondering how they were going to do that, because it's not the best use of integrating a different culture in comic books back then. Is kind of, some would say it's very stereotyped. I would say that. And this narrative of Shang-Chi being raised as a fighter, being trained by the Death Dealer, but then growing up I believe the line in the show, in the trailer, was a 10-year gap where he left, whether he ran away or was like, sent away to go live a life himself. He has to be brought back to his roots, back to his origins, back to becoming the master of Kung Fu. And that's why the narrative is showing him in civilian life. It makes it make way more sense, especially considering that we got the Mandarin coming in. The 10 rings that are more like bracelets.
That's what I loved. I loved
They kept it magical too. How cool is that?
Yeah, I loved seeing the variation from rings to bracelets like that. I mean, that was pretty dope. And I don't want to get into the whole like stereotypical this, stereotype that. Like, I don't even, it's like, for me, it's a movie. It's about Kung Fu, so I'm not really sure what the expectations would have been for somebody to
Back
learn
then,
Kung Fu.
for sure.
Come on. But the fact that they also mention a dragon, from what I understand.
Dude, can you imagine if we see it? The Kirby goodness.
Dude, I can't imagine it. I have this vision, and it's glorious, Tom. I'm freaking telling you, it's going to be... It's like seeing the dragon from Dragon Ball Z for the very first time when they got the Dragon Balls together. You're like, oh my God, there it is. God, I forgot his name.
You're forgetting it in this moment?
Yes, I am, but it's...
Fin, Fang, Foom, baby.
No, the dragon from Dragon Ball Z. When you see him for the first time, for you Dragon Ball Z fans, like, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yes, Fing Fang Foom, man, like...
You see him on this freaking screen, I'm going to lose my shit, dude. I'm going to be freaking out, man. I want to see some Fing Fang Foom. And Green Lantern 20, newsstand, $200, sold February 18th. I think that's my copy, to be honest. So there you go. You can get probably a non-newsstand for $100, $150. So we are talking about Master Kung Fu, though. Super Marvel Edition, special Super Marvel Edition, issue number 15, first appearance. And I'm looking at a freaking stack here, an aggressive stack. You are being very aggressive on the purchasing of these in high grade. And dude, I'm seeing 2 9/8s and multiple 9/6s. Let's chat about the 9/8s. I want to chat with you about the 9/6s. I want to talk about the differences in grade. What can we learn from this? Because this is a difficult book in high grade.
Yeah, though I have this many, it is a tough book in high grade. And like, don't let this take away from that. I just happen to really be heavy on this. So I have...
Look at that, dude.
5 9/6s here, all white pagers. Okay. And then we have 2 9/8s, 1 white pager, 1 off-white white. And let's take a look at these guys.
Okay, I remember we saw a $7,500 sale in February for a 9.8. We also saw a $6,700 sale right before the trailer dropped, which was I thought was a great purchase. And then today, as we're filming, we're seeing a new price. It broke 10K, dude. A 9.8 hit what?
$13,500, I think $21.
Holy smokes, dude. Yeah. That's crazy, man. That's nuts.
And well deserved. If you look at all the other books at this time frame, okay? I mean, if you're looking at Marvel Spotlight 5s, you're looking at Werewolf by Night 32s. I mean, you're talking, I'm thinking a Marvel Spotlight 5 and 9/8 could be possibly an $80,000 book.
Oh, I believe it. And we're going to actually talk about that book here pretty soon. We have a stack of 9/6s and 2 9/8s. March 16th, a 9.6 went for $3,100. I think that's low, especially with this new price at the 9.8 set. This is going to be, I think, a $5,000 book here. How does that sound to you?
The 9/6?
Yeah.
You said 5K?
Yeah.
I think this...
Maybe higher? I mean, with the $13,000 9.8.
I'll tell you, like, I would have sold my 9/6 for 5K before this sale. After the sale, I'm not selling it for 5K. I probably put $7,500 on it.
Yeah. Oh, because this 9.6 price, the $3,100 was pre-trailer dropping. So.
Oh, this one, yeah, the 9th, yeah, no, that was what,
that
March?
I'm looking at. March 16th.
16th, yeah.
Yeah, so this is weeks ago. That's how quick this moves, just in a couple weeks. So I'm looking at 5 9/6s and 2 9/8s, and I thought this was a fun thing that we can compare to. We can put some pictures on the screen here because really at first glance, they look the same. You're really looking for the differences here, and it's hard to tell. But there are some differences, and we can learn from that. So looking at these 9.6s, right before the show, I noticed that that black cover is so tough to get without having any imperfections. Really, at the top of one of these, there's a tiny scuff. Really, it's like some markings on the spine, maybe a little dirt, but it is so difficult to see the differences. In your opinion, based off of your grading of these books that a lot of people will never even see in person, let alone in a 9.8, ever own a 9.8, with only 3 sales that are publicly seen in this last few months, what is your analysis on this particular book? Because not all books experience the same types of problems, because this is a thicker book, it's a black cover, and it's super scarce. I mean, read to hell.
Yeah, I don't know about thicker. It's just a regular size.
Is it normal size? Yeah. Some reason I thought it was a little thicker. Maybe
no,
I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's just a regular standard comic book from that time frame. Looking at these books, obviously there's different imperfections all across each of these. Some of these have the staples offset, and which I think was pretty common with this book. They weren't just only on the spine. They're actually offset quite a bit, and we'll show some pictures of that, and you can take a look. So I think it might have hindered some of the grades because...
Offset as in like it's not really on the edge of the spine. It's like on the cover a little bit.
Yeah, it's on the cover by enough.
Enough, especially with the black, to cause problems around the staple where it was inputted.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily affect the grade because it's production, but because of the way it lays, and if anyone opened it, it creates more problems to the cover, which can also cause issues. So I have a couple of that. Taking a look at some of these, it's really, like you mentioned, hard to tell the difference. I have a 9.8 here that I question is, well, what does it take to be a 9.9? Because it's
that nice.
Right. And then I have a 9.8 here that's a 9.8. And then I have a 9.6, so I'm just like, maybe can be a 9.8 with a little more of a dry clean and a press, because it's that finite. And it's obviously it's harder to tell because they're already encapsulated.
Sure.
But some of these are so borderline. I feel blessed just to have the 2 9/8. I do, because
especially after today, man, they just upped in value. There's 26K sitting on the table right now.
Yeah, look, I had my.
And they won't be here long, so don't try to find my address.
Yeah, 1600. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
There you go.
Check it out. But more seriously, like I have faith in this book because there's no reason it shouldn't, reach levels of others at this point. And seeing 13.5 is. It's a start. It really is, because that 7.5 that it was and the 6,700 just doesn't sound right. A 9.8 book from this time frame.
There you
for
go.
A character like this who really, I think they screwed the pooch with Iron Fist, and I think they have to roll with Shang-Chi for now, and I think that's going to bring a lot of attention to this character, and rightfully so. And Iron Fist, that might actually be, by the way, a good spec to get into at some point.
It's really low. He'll be back for sure.
Yeah, he'll have to be back.
Or whether it's that particular version of Iron Fist, there's a handful of them. We've seen that happen where a different version still hypes up another blue chip key. Case in point, Captain America Avengers 4 with Falcon and Winter Soldier at an causing major spec to happen, and all these types of plays. Heck, Omega Red was being spec'd on heavily. We saw Avenger 4 numbers shoot up like we've never seen. And yeah, will we see an old man Cap? Maybe. But it's not likely we're going to see Steve Rogers Cap anytime soon. Maybe a flashback. Not enough to cause a book like Avengers 4 to skyrocket like it has.
Like, work in waves. Like, there's books that people are getting into, and then there's the books that they're not getting into because they've gone there for a moment. And they'll come back. Avengers 4 was stagnant not too long ago. AF-15 sat stagnant for a year.
We gotta chat about AF-15 at some point. Not today. We'll get some in here to chat about. But we had a really fun conversation at C2E2 in 2019. And I was like, damn, dude, this is a great time to buy this book. Like, I think that these are good prices. People weren't buying them. And you told me, you're like, dude, this is the time to get them. They're low. This is a low buy-in for a book that at the time seemed high. Well, some books that I just purchased recently, I probably bought a little too late, but I got tired of talking about them on the damn mic so often. Are you caught up on Mandalorian?
I'm caught up on Mando.
All right, dude. Rosario Dawson, Season 2, Ahsoka Tano. It was amazing. I'm not even a big Star Wars guy. Like, members who've been following the channel for quite a long time, they'll know that I grew up with Star Trek on the mind, chatting about it with my dad and all of his friends. We weren't talking about Star Wars growing up. I grew up with a life-size cutout of Captain Picard in the kitchen. Whenever I ate dinner, I got Captain Picard looking at me in the corner, and most people would kind of get weirded out by it. And they did. When they came over and we had friends over, they'd be like, yeah, that's a little awkward. But I grew up with, Sir Patrick Stewart in my kitchen for good reason. I got into Star Wars way more this year than ever before, like over this past year, especially through pandemic. I went through the OG 4, 5, and 6 movies. I went through the prequels, and although they weren't great, I definitely had a new respect for them. And The Mandalorian really took me there. I had to get these books. I'm not going to miss out on Ahsoka Tano. Had I known Ahsoka Tano a bit more and the legacy and the Clone Wars stuff that really spiraled through the animation films or the series that I'm now into, I would have gone all in on Ahsoka Tano's first appearance way before everyone else really caught the bug, but I just wasn't as into it. So I was reporting on numbers and seeing these books spike, and I knew it would get hot, but I didn't realize how hot it would get. Hearing her say Grand Admiral Thrawn, that she was hunting for him, looking for him, mind blown. So I secured 2 different 9.8s. We have Kanan Last Padawan, issue number 1, first cameo appearance of Sabine Wren and Ezra Bridger. And then also issue number 6, first full appearance of both characters. And I actually notice here on the CGC label, they don't put any indication on issue number 6. I think this is the book to spec on. There's a full appearance. They're kind of briefly introduced in issue number 1. I bought them both for $1,000. And issue number 1 is going for right around $300. Issue number 6 is going for right around $600. So, add it up, gets close to $1,000. Issue number 1 actually has the first appearance listed where issue number 6 doesn't. But hot damn, issue number 6 is selling better. Take a look at those. So I'm thinking, if there's some Star Wars spec to be had, Ahsoka Tano, I mean, she's part of that triad. Like they're together. Whenever you see these narratives, they just go hand in hand. And when you have Grand Admiral Thrawn in the mix, it only makes sense to get their homies. I'm going to use the hell out of the soundboard, comic fam. Just get used to it. We're just getting started.
Yeah, man. Look, if you're talking about Star Wars characters and they aren't the first cast, I'm like, it's a little over my head. So, Ahsoka Tano.
I keep my
pew, pew, pew.
DD blaster, I think is what it is. I apologize to the Star Wars fans in advance. It's only going to get worse.
It's all right, man. All right, so for me, this original cast is what I know and grew up with, and still haven't been impressed much with anything else. But Mando is telling such a good story because I've been nothing but let down, I'll be honest with you. So I'll tell you where I'm at with most of this. But when a TV show like that crushes it and can tell a story and make me interested in characters like that, I mean, I'm 110% in on the storytelling. Now, I don't know Ahsoka Tano other than I've seen her on the covers and whatever, so I don't know if she was represented the way everyone wanted her or not, but everyone seems to be hyped, and I'm still loving the show. I'm excited for next season. So
we're supposed to hear get introduced to some Wookiees in season 3, apparently.
All right, as long as they keep going in the right direction, I'm in. For me, you're saving Star Wars. I 110% think you're saving Star Wars with the Mandalorian show.
All right, comic fam, I want to get into some comic books that are underappreciated. I want to get into some comic books that you may not know about. And if you are a newer member of the community and you're not really looking to drop $1,000 on a book or, go 13 grand into a 9.8, Master of Kung Fu, we have some other comics in the community that are worth taking a look at. Dude, it's not all about big money in comics. It's not all about spending money. It's about reading. It's about, collecting. And collecting isn't always about money as well. Sometimes you want books just because they're awesome and they mean something to you. You have those types of books in your collection.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I want to read a book, I'm not going to read my vintage book. I'll read the reprint of the collectible.
Sure.
Okay, or I'll wait for the trade paperbacks to come out because I just want to read it. I think there's room for both. But
what about a collectible that you purchased that may not be super expensive, but you keep it in your PC because it means something to you?
Oh man, absolutely. I got what is it, like an Ultimate X-Men graphic novel made out to Jeff.
like it's like a
Yeah,
signed
I
book.
have like comics from when I was a kid that are like beat up to heck. You know, I mean, absolutely. There's things. You know, I loved a series called Low that Image did. I bought artwork for that because I have the trade paperbacks. I loved what Image was putting out at the time. I have a ton of trades that I really enjoyed to read. So absolutely.
So I wanted to take some opportunity throughout our podcast, and we'll keep this going. Comic fam, let me know in the comment section below what you think about this. I want to showcase some books that you can find on the hunt. You know, if you're a new collector, maybe $1, 50 cents even. Some that aren't even on Key Collector because Key Collector has a certain threshold of what makes its way onto the app because it's got to be a collectible. It's got to be a key, right? So these books, you're gonna be able to find on eBay for under $5. I think one of them, they're starting to be listed for 15, but that's how some of these go. You know, they start to become more favorable in the community because members are buying them and then they go, oh damn, what's going on with that one? Yeah, I need that. And I want to chat about those books because today we're chatting Marvel Age comic books, okay? Marvel Age comic books. How would you even describe this, Jeff? Because this is like they are comics because they are comic sized, but and sometimes they have previews of books in them with actual pages of stories. One of the books that we're going to chat about here actually has pages of a story, but they're kind of like a solicitation, if anything.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at this list that you're talking about. So we're not even talking about multiple different books. We're talking about just all in one title even. So this is just going to be the title Marvel Age.
Yeah, Marvel Age, and we have a handful of them that I wanted to point out to the members.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's a solicitation. It's like a preview guide. You know, it talks about the industry of what's coming, kind of a hype book almost.
But it's in comic form, which makes it an awesome collectible. It fits in your long box, and really that is a thing that matters. Well, some members may not know that Boba Fett's first appearance, although many spec and the money goes to in mass to Star Wars 42 because that's his first like comic-sized appearance. It's the magazine. What is that? The
Special Marvel Edition 16, I believe.
That's the one that he actually debuted in. CGC will put the first appearance on the magazine, not Star Wars 42. I find it interesting, but comic size matters to collectors, and that's why that 42 goes for so much money, regardless of what CGC says.
Marvel
on the label.
Special Edition 16.
Thank you. That's what it is. Yeah. It's because we're talking about the Marvel Super Special here. All right. Well, we're chatting about Marvel Age right now, comic-sized solicitations. The first book we're going to chat about is Marvel Age 33 that debuted in 1985 in December. And this is notable because X Factor 1 would be solicited in this Marvel Age comic book, marking it the first appearance of X Factor in a solicitation on the cover of the old team that debuted in Uncanny X-Men #1. So X Factor would debut in February the following year. And this is a notable team up because it included the old team, but a very important character that hadn't been seen in quite some time. Why was this so important in comics?
Well, when you talk about old team, we got to remember it's the Angel, okay? It's Iceman, Beast, Cyclops, and Jean Grey.
That's right. And the death of Jean Grey is one akin to like Gwen Stacy. You don't mess with the death of Gwen Stacy, right? You don't mess with the death of Jean Grey. And to Chris Claremont's chagrin, they did bring her back. And in issue number 33 of Marvel Age, they had the task of the solicitation of an upcoming title, but I think they were hit with the problem of we can't reveal that Jean Grey's back. Like, people don't expect us to do this, and they're going to be upset. Like, there's going to be a split. There's going to be a divide in the community. So they had to come up with a really unique way to communicate this. And we have a letter from the editor, essentially, that was, it must have been written just months prior to the release of X Factor 1 because it was fresh. You know, he's chatting about the creative process. We have Mike Carlin, and they had a very unique way of keeping this secret under wraps.
All right.
You want to take a look at this thing? Yeah. Describe what you're looking at here, Jeff. We pulled up a page of it.
Okay. X Factor, classified, guys. Dun, dun, dun.
So what does this look like?
The heck is that?
All right, so you're looking at right now like a sheet that's from like the FBI, CIA, right? And it's been redacted to all hell. Like, let me read you some of these quotes I wrote down for this bit. So the Mutant Report, it says, classified. We'd like to tell you that there is, we'd like to tell you all there is to know about X Factor, but we can't. It's just too big of of an occasion, too momentous, too surprising of a reveal. So here's like a line from the article. And this is just the writer speaking. You got to assume he just wrote this out. It doesn't actually look like it was planned to be redacted. He said, who are the members exactly? Beast, the Angel, Iceman, Cyclops, and blank. Basically, the discovery of blank blank will be the catalyst for blank for the X Factor forming. And the meeting will leave Scott Summers emotionally devastated because of blank blank. I mean, there are literally lines upon lines. There's like 8 lines right here on the screen that Jeff's looking at of just blocks of black that they redacted. And this is probably my favorite part.
Dude, this is some of the dumbest blankety blank stuff I've ever seen. Like, come on, you got to be drinking your own Kool-Aid if you're going to be publishing an article and redacting lines. Like, give me a break. Just don't put it up if you can't. Like, I mean, look at this.
We have an image of the team,
yeah,
but they couldn't reveal the whole team.
Right. Beast is not furry, so whatever. But who do you think that is?
So we have Cyclops, Beast, Angel, and Iceman, of course. But then we have the silhouette of Jean Grey. Clearly, like Scott Summers' arm is around her, but they just like photoshopped her out. And back then they probably just cut her out of the page and just put green over her. But this is a cool book. It's a dollar bin book. I find it fascinating that they redacted a bunch of stuff. There's a little bit more history to it. And yeah, it's the first appearance of the X Factor. The third new team, if you would. All right, so Marvel Age 74, we have Moon Knight on the cover, but looking at this solicitation, what do you see? Because it does have a preview for a very important West Coast Avengers story in issue 45.
Yeah, like, look, West Coast Avengers is a cover swipe from Avengers 57, okay? Vision's first appearance. But we get to see him white, all right? But here, he's solicited as being all red.
That's right. Well, they didn't want to give it away.
I don't know. I just don't think they knew, because the red is kind of cool, but I wonder if it's like too ominous or maybe felt too like Mephisto, or maybe they just weren't sure. Are we going with the red, the white? I'm not sure why you would put even red at all if you weren't thinking about red.
Well, see, I think they knew. I mean, at this point, the book was already drawn. You know, this is months prior to release. So they made him red to tease that changes are going to hit the West Coast Avengers storyline. The Vision is back, but what makes him so frighteningly different? And it's the fact that he's a different color, and that he was going to come back without his brain waves. He was going to be less of the android we knew and more of the android that we would assume.
That's probably why they use that word frighteningly to make, he's got the red there. So maybe it just looks, like I said, more intimidating.
So regardless, you know, he is here. He's present. This is the cover of West Coast Avengers 45. This is the White Vision, although he's not white on the page, but still a dope book nonetheless for Moon Knight fans and members who enjoyed WandaVision.
So this is the first appearance of Red Vision. Infrared Vision.
Infrared Vision as the White Vision that would later debut in issue number 45 of West Coast Avengers. Shout out. All right, next book on this list, we have Marvel Age 114. I have some pictures of this book. You got to see this, man. It is freaking wild, because this book is now being listed a little bit more on eBay, like $20, maybe $30, because people are catching on to this one. But this book, it debuted in July 1992. Let me take you through some important dates here. ASM 361, first appearance of
Carnage.
In full on the cover. April 1992 is when Carnage debuted. Then on issue 362, we also have a Carnage cover, and that debuted the following month in May. And then we have his third cover in June of that same year in issue number 363. Well, 364 doesn't have Carnage on the cover. And in July, we have Marvel Age 114. This right here would mark, I mean, first off, a great cover of the Spider-Man's like rogues gallery of villains, right? But we do have Carnage in the back, marking this as the fourth Carnage cover. And some members may not think that's huge, but for the fourth appearance of Carnage on a cover, I think it's notable, especially if you can find it for $1. However, this is right around the time that Spider-Man 2099 would debut. Now, you know Spidey 2099's first appearance in?
Amazing Spider-Man 365.
Absolutely. And members are going to look at this spread here that features Spider-Man 2099, and they're going to scoff a little bit, right? This is a preview. This is a solicitation. But what is in Spider-Man 365, which is known and accepted as the first appearance of Spidey 2099? Is that not a preview? It literally is a preview. It says it on the CGC label. If that is a preview and counts as a first appearance, how is a solicitation not notable? I'm not saying it's his first full appearance. I'm not even calling it a cameo appearance. But the fact that he's on page, how is that not something collectors could get excited about?
So the one in 365 is preview.
Absolutely.
That's how it's labeled.
That's
And
how
this
it's
is a
labeled.
preview in a preview.
It's a preview in a preview. Inception style.
Okay. This is a whole bunch of just ridiculousness, first of all. That fourth appearance of Kava Carnage, I could give a freaking care.
Jeff doesn't care.
Yeah, 2099, maybe.
You like the 2099? I mean, it's a full page spread right there.
Yeah, that's him, you know. Preview, cameo. I mean, where are we going with all of this? I don't know, but
We're talking about dope books that the members can hunt for that are affordable.
$4. It's dang worth it.
There you go. I wouldn't pay more than that. You know, some members I'm seeing it listed as the first cover appearance of Carnage on eBay. I don't know where they're getting that from. I do understand that some of these solicitations may have hit the stands maybe prior than some issues and, you know, maybe a couple months prior. I've heard that rumor before, but I go by the date. It literally says the date right on the cover that it's in July. So may not be as exciting of a thing, but I do think that both of those things combined for symbiote collectors matter. All right. And then let's take a look at Marvel Age 117, just a couple issues later. We have a handful of first appearances on the cover in solicitation, but this cover is so cool, man. I've always loved it. We have 3 major characters in the Marvel universe looking down at 3 other very cool characters, futuristic characters of the same. What are we looking at?
We're looking at Punisher. We're looking at Spidey. We're looking at Doctor Doom.
And who are they looking down on?
They're looking at their future selves.
2099 appearances. We got the Punisher,
That's
we got
right.
Doctor Doom, and we got Spidey 2099 on the cover. Early cover appearance, sure. And then we also got this guy here. I don't even remember who that is.
I can't remember. I feel terrible that I don't remember.
Comic Fam, help us out. I can't remember the bottom right character
I
of
can
this page.
see the book in my head.
I know, I can't too.
Night something? Night Stalker?
Night Stalker? It's killing me right now.
Look it up.
Let's not
Google
look it up. No, I don't want to Google it. We're going to let the Comic Fam comment down below, help with the algorithm, hit the like button while you're down there. We got to get to, and this is the first appearance of those characters in solicitation. All right, let's take a look at Marvel Age 137.
I think that's the first appearance of Blanca before he became...
It could be, man. It could be. All right, Marvel Age 137. We have the first time the Spider-Man animated versions of the characters hit a comic cover in solicitation. And I mentioned this one because Spider-Man Adventures, you know, the adaptation done in comic form, issue number, I believe it's 8 and number 9, cameo in full of Venom from the animated series, that spiked up a couple years ago. The books still go for like $20+. So because of that similarity to like the Harley Quinn appearance being important to collectors, I felt that this was worth throwing on there because if you can find this for $1, I'd snag it all day. You got Venom looking all brutish on there. You got the Shocker, and it's done in the animated style, just like the cartoon. I love the cartoon.
I could see this as a something you should grab. I mean, you see for $1. I mean, you got, like you said, animated Venom. It's a cool cover. Shocker on there as well. Spidey. For $1, I bought worse for $1.
Comic Fam, let me know what kind of cheap comic books that you like to hunt for. Just when you're going to conventions, looking in those dollar bins, looking in those quarter bins. It's not all about really expensive comics. It's not even all about speccing on comics. It's about cool ones you can add to your collection. I think these are all ones that I would grab for $1 if I found them. And I think a lot of members would agree. If you don't, you know, Jeff didn't agree with me on all of these, and that's okay. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. All right, Comic Fan, I want to get into comic books that you have to hunt for and travel to find. You're putting in those miles in, you're putting in those airline miles in. And I chatted with Russ. He sent me a synopsis of one of his last voyages. And I got some other members of the community stories here as well that I'm going to share with you. But this is a story that took place, really, I think it was last year. He traveled to Cincinnati, had to fly down there with a co-driver so that on the way back they can drive what was 14 long boxes from this person's house. And he said that when he arrived there, he was initially kind of disappointed that although there was an Avengers 1, there was a Marvel Spotlight 5, that when they were taking them out of these very old bags, the color, gloss, and the condition was better than expected. However, the disappointment came from when he was in a room standing with the owner, the original owner of these comics, and he was smoking a cigarette like he was damn Constantine the whole time. And what happens when comics are in a place with smoke? They start stinking. And that's exactly the situation he found himself in. He traveled all the way down there and he's pulling these out. And he said that he packaged these things quick. You know, they figured out the deal. But at the time, you know, he was pulling out the comics trying to figure out if they smelled. And some did, some didn't really, but he didn't know how severe it was. It wasn't until he packed them up, drove them back to Seattle to really discover that every single one of these comics had to be taken out of the bag and board. It took, what he said, 4 days to take them all out and to, you know, carefully set them out. And that's when the timer started. They had to be like de-smoked. They had to air out for a long amount of time. And to this day, he's still battling smoke on some of these comics. Have you ever dealt with smoke, Jeff?
Not often, but that wasn't one of the deals. Like, I traveled to a deal in Indiana, okay? And I meet this guy, and just he's probably in his 80s at this point. And this may be the first time I ever traveled out of state for a collection. Okay, I met this guy somehow on eBay through a book. Contacted him, go there, and he takes me to his house, and it's in this garage, and he has a massive amount of Golden Age books. Massive. But the dude is an absolute asshat, okay?
Describe what made him an asshat.
Oh, he was a jerk. He was racist. I mean, he was like literally making all these terrible jokes, okay? And I was like, oh my God, get me out of here.
Oh my gosh,
and then
terrible.
We're in a closed garage, and he's puffing up smoke like crazy. And I started realizing these books stink of smoke, okay? And I spent probably all day, well, half a day there. I had to get out of there because the guy was just the worst. Didn't buy a single book. I traveled all the way to Indiana, didn't buy a single book, took my money, left. This dude, and it was just like, all right, man, I can't take you, dude. I gotta go.
Just couldn't do it.
Yeah, that was like the worst smoke experience I ever had, because you guys literally smoking while you're looking at books in an enclosed space. Doesn't even care. So I'm assuming that's probably what Russ had to deal with too.
Yeah, sounds like it. I reached out to our members in the community via Instagram, and I'm going to throw this out there for the community members watching this now. We will be sourcing comments from the comment section of our videos, and our next podcast, we're going to get into FOMO, fear of missing out. And if you have any FOMO stories that you don't mind us sharing on the mic, you can go to ComicTom101.com and hit the contact section to get in touch with us via the show, via email, if it's like a longer story. I'll read it. We'll probably do a synopsis of it. Or you can comment on the video. But keep in mind, we may talk about it on the show. I reached out via Instagram this week because it's been a while since we hit the mic. And Journo's Comics had something to say. You've seen him on YouTube, haven't you?
Yeah, he actually almost helped me out pick up a book in his area like 3 weeks ago.
No kidding.
Yeah, we actually spoke, and then we just couldn't communicate perfectly and get the timing right. But I like that dude, man. Journo's
Comics and Pop Culture over on YouTube. Take a look at his YouTube channel. Does some really cool videos. He said that he drove from Sacramento to LA to another member's place to raid their 4 rooms of 50-cent books. Now that's some dedication. What do you expect he experienced? Because I'm imagining that, I mean, like if you're doing 4 rooms of 50-cent books, that's gonna be a pretty dirty day. Like you can have a really clean place, but you're still on the ground, you're hunched over, turning into a hunchback, like you're pressing up against stuff. Like whenever I go to a con, my freaking knees get all like dusted up and stuff from the hunt. But man, it's worth it. Those 50-cent bins are fun.
I'll tell you exactly 4 people who enjoy that type of environment. 4 people.
Who?
1, people who just like comics for cheap.
Sure.
2, completists.
Sure.
3, people who love to read.
Absolutely.
Okay? And 4, those who know that there's value in there because nobody's gone through these books yet. And the person who owns them has so many
they don't even care.
He can't even like contemplate how much effort it's going to take to find the book, but someone else will find it for you.
And you know what? When they do find it, they're like, good job. That's awesome. I'm glad you found something. You spent a half hour in that long box and you pulled out one book. Good on you. Take it. I mean, it's kind of the mentality of a lot of comic book stores that have back issue bins, isn't it?
It is. And the worst is the ones who don't have a price on them, and then they wait for you to dig it out, and then they eBay it and look for it in front of your face. Oh, yeah, let me get the price on this. Really?
The comic fam knows what we're talking about here. That's definitely something we do not enjoy, but it does happen. The boy who had 7 on Instagram, he said this. He's traveling this very weekend for the first time to go visit his cousin whose ex-wife's uncle passed away and left her a comic collection. Now, first off, our condolences. That's very sad. However, how often is this something similar that happens in the hunt for comic books? In that, it doesn't have to always be like something tragic like a death, but your cousin's uncle's friend who they worked with has comics. And because they knew that you are someone into comic books, that they got in touch with you. Like it's a learning experience here. You got to make sure everyone in your life knows that you're into expensive paper, because the day that someone knows someone or gets told that they have something, they're going to reach out to you.
Yeah, like everybody knows like a real estate agent, okay? Right?
Yeah, it's just like that.
Yeah, everybody knows a real estate agent. You're like, oh yeah, I know an real estate agent. They know, like everyone knows like 5, all right? There's not many people who know comic book collectors. Okay. Oh yeah, I know somebody. Yeah, let me get you in contact. So the more people that know what you like, and the less maybe ashamed you are putting it out there, or you're just out there and loving it and everybody knows in your group, the more likely you're going to get a contact at some point. So it's really important to just put that out there in the universe, at least in the universe you live, which is your bubble, wherever you are, and the people you know, and just be like, bam, I'm into comics. Tell me if anything ever comes up.
I had a collection that was at my grandma's house that was left from when my dad initially left Buffalo, New York when I was a kid. I went back to visit, and it came up in conversation with my grandma and my family. And I'm like, oh, I'm into comic books. I'm like, oh yeah, you like comic books like your dad did, you know, like, it's kind of fun. And she's like, yeah, there's a couple boxes upstairs still. And it's like, had I not brought up the fact that, hey, this is something I'm passionate about, that I'm into, I would have never looked. I went upstairs, 2 long boxes. It was some of the very first Hellboy comics I ever secured. And nothing huge, but like a full run of Seed of Destruction and Wake the Devil and a bunch of 90s stuff. They had some like Young Blood. There was a Bloodshot, Zero in there. There's a handful of like books that were worth some money, and I couldn't bring them all back home. I didn't have a way to lug long boxes back. It was just me on this trip. So what I did is I put together like a stack of books, took clothes out, put the clothes in my backpack, and then secured them in my suitcase the best way I could and wrapped them up in clothes and brought them back home. I mean, you got to always bring this kind of stuff up. You got to let everyone know that you're passionate about comics. Spread the word. You never know. And you got to hear this comment from a member in the community. This is Bub Collects. He says, this guy had an apartment with a house full of comic books that I had to travel to. When I got there, he was playing Mario Kart. The deal was, if I won, he would give me 50% off of the agreed price. So how is that for a story? Not only do you need to be like, on the hunt and know who you're dealing with, build in rapport, because that's really what that's about. You also got to be good at some video games, apparently, because you make it a good deal.
And, look, everyone's great at Mario Kart, okay? We all know how to zoom around corners, okay? You just got to hold down that little top left button, all right? So that's anytime you can get some kind of discount, whatever way. I mean, I'm not saying whatever way. I'm just saying, like, if there's an opportunity there, get to know the person. It helps, not just to come in there and be like, like you already bought it from this guy, or this gal. Just so I don't know. Like you said, I think that's important to build some type of rapport and relationship. And Mario Kart, that's freaking hilarious, man.
So I have a message from Very Gary, another fellow YouTuber that everyone should be following. He's been on the show a handful of times. He's going to be on the show some more. He mentions that he traveled from New York to Virginia to secure a collection, and everything went well. All right. But he had some points here that I wanted to bring to the mic because I thought it a really good lesson to be learned from his experience, because I want to rope this into a deal that you just did. You just got back from San Francisco a couple days ago to secure how many comics?
Just two.
Two
but
comics.
Really one. I went down there for
You
one
went down there
book.
for one. You came back with two because that's how you do it. But this is what Very Gary had to say. He said that during his phone call conversation, he was able to tell that the collector was a serious one. The collector had said that he wanted to keep all of his Wolverine books because he was thinning out his collection. All points that are important to keep in mind when you're doing a deal, because it tells you a lot about the person you're buying from, right? He's having a verbal conversation with the person. He also said that he felt that he had a good price point figured out because they were trading information on what books were going to be involved. He had a list of comic books that he was able to get. That doesn't happen all the time, right? Like, you get lucky if the person's cataloged their collection, but sometimes the big keys or the bulk of the collection will be cataloged, and it gives you some price points to start at. He also said here that it's important to have a list and a ballpark of what you're looking to spend on the collection. Try to figure out something prior to making the travel happen, because you don't want to come back empty-handed. You don't want to pay for the flight. You don't want to pay for the overnight stay and not get comic books because you guys couldn't figure it out in person.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying there, because there are some stuff is still tried and true from even back in the day. You know, you want to make a phone call, you want to get that information correct.
Right.
Okay. And I think I'm seeing a lot more people have books in their collections and databases. I think because there's so many online platforms now that give you an automatic total.
Shout out Key Collector Comics. Use code Tom101 for a free 2 weeks.
And that's just something that I'm seeing a lot more of, because they don't know the values. They'll let some software figure it out for them, and then they'll know, and it's easy to forward on. So I've seen that a ton now.
Isn't it pretty typical, like when someone has a collection? Oh, and Butch is demanding attention. He just jumped on the table, Comic Fam, for our audio listeners. Again, available on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes if you don't have time to watch us. But you know what? We're in crystal clear video for the Comic Fam. People who have collections that they're not sure about, there's typically a path that they go down. And seldomly does that path lead them to learning how to grade, taking pictures of all the books and listing them fairly, and then going through shipping and or taking them to a convention and selling them. Sometimes it leads there. Most of the time, it starts out with, I'm going to see what they're worth. They go on eBay, and they're more discouraged after the fact because they find out that there's different grades. They sell for all across the spectrum, and it ends up putting them in a position to go, I just want someone to take them all off my shoulders.
You know, that's part of it. There's a lot to it because it's usually a case-by-case basis. But like before you go to that collection, getting that information is important. I'll give you an example when I say tried and true, because it's been something that people have been doing for a very long time. We have a friend, Gus, over at Silver Age Comics.
Shout out Gus. I freaking love that guy.
Yeah, out in Manhattan. He's got not Manhattan. He used to have a store in Manhattan, but now he has one just in Queens.
Gus is one of the OG New York dealers. Literally, I've heard stories about his employees standing outside selling comics on the street like it's a freaking newspaper. Like, we're talking like Turok 1 days. He remembers when he got cases. You know, it's always fascinating.
I'll tell you how OG is. His account number for CGC is below 25.
Holy smokes. How freaking cool is that?
Okay. So if you think about like the starting people who started it probably have an account number and how far behind he was on that, like that's early. So he does his, you know, you in the early 90s, this is where when he had this collection he was telling me about, like mid 90s. You know, it was more common for detective comics and action comics, golden age books at the time still. Okay, so there's questions you go through because there's reprints. There's the famous first editions, which were like oversized of Action 1, Detective 27.
We've all been there. You think, oh, is this it? Is this the one? And it's not.
But when you ask the right questions and you find out like the other years of other books, having conversations with people, you start thinking, he quickly realized this is the real deal. He goes to this house, okay, meets them, and in a inside of a litter box, it's an empty litter box. There's no kitty litter in there, but stored in a peed up like litter box smelled is a Detective 27, Detective 28, Detective 35, Detective 38, First Robin. Okay. And like some other random Golden Age books.
Can you imagine
Target.
finding that in a litter box? What you would feel like?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. And so apparently, at the time, Tech 27 was guided good for $11,000. That's it. I mean, right now, I don't even know what a good sells for right now, right? Or not even sells for, guides for, but probably $150K.
At least.
I'm going to guess. I mean, I could be off, but like that just shows you how far the market has gone. So like you ask your questions, you get there first, okay? And you try to acquire these things, but like I've been on my first 2 travel trips for comics. I didn't ask enough questions, okay? Because sometimes you get that feeling that if you ask too many questions, they're going to wise up. So there's that line. So you don't know who you're dealing with, and there might be no way to get out of that, okay? And my other one was I asked, maybe I could ask a few more questions, but the other person was lying.
Ooh.
Or misleading because there were restored books. You know, like when somebody who knows a lot about the hobby and they're trying to sell you something for a deal, that's something you should be wary about. You're like, why do you know why is this a deal? Okay. And that should be a red flag already.
Sure.
So there's just these little things that you just need to know when you're out on the hunt like that in the wild that usually you get from experience because you've been burned before. You didn't count the pages of a book. You didn't check for restoration. And, you know, like those are industry stuff you guys have to incorporate in your practices when looking for books, no matter where you are, really.
All right. Well, with that said, why don't we tell them about this amazing grail that looks so damn beautiful on this table, never seen one in person, and tell us the story, because you secured a very important key comic book. Walk me through it. We have the first appearance of the Green Lantern from the Golden Age.
All American Comics 16.
Hot damn, dude.
1940.
Dude, and the fact that it's as low as grade it is, the cover looks amazing. I wasn't expecting it to look so crisp and intact. Dude, I thought you were going to bring back like a sliver of a cover. And this thing it presents like a VG, man.
Yeah, it does. It presents, at least as a VG. It's a gorgeous book, great colors. And let me tell you the story about getting to this book. So I am out of town, okay? And I get a text message from a friend of mine who lives in the area. Okay, this is out in the San Francisco area, okay? And popped up on Craigslist was an All-American 16, okay? And it was graded as, he put it as a 5.0, and then he wanted $50,000 for it, okay? If it's a true 5.0, that's actually a pretty good deal. But you look at it, you're like, that's not a 5.0. That looks more like a 3.0, maybe 3.5 from the photos, and flaps, like things flapped over, but you can always put them back, and you don't know how the spine is. And so I sent him an email, just straight up, like, hey, it's a cool book. I'm interested, just really down to earth. You know, you never know when people stuff on Craigslist. So it's still, you're like, try to be cautious. And I just left it at that. Okay, I told him it's like a 3.035. I'm still interested in the book. Let's talk.
Okay, and around what time frame is this?
So this was just like 4 weeks ago.
So this whole deal happened in under a month.
Oh, yes. Happened under a month. So a week later or so, he gets back to me finally. And I'm still traveling and heading home, and I'm overwhelmed. And I still don't believe that the book's still available. It seemed a little weird and sketchy because it's such an important book. It's like top probably 5 or 6 and most important books of the Golden Age, and probably most valuable, to be honest. So I just let it go, and then got home a couple days later, and I got a text message from the gentleman too. And I was like, oh, and the text message seemed more sincere. And I was just like, all right, well, maybe I should reach out. So I reached out to this gentleman, spoke to him, and super nice guy. And we hit it off well. And I just think that too many people dismissed it because it just seemed like one of those things that was just like so far-fetched of a concept, that this grail of a book happens to pop up on Craigslist, that nobody approached it.
Whoa, didn't get one call?
It just feels that way because he had no information from anybody.
Yeah, you'd think a dealer at some point would, pique interest enough to shed some information.
And I know some people did see it, but they just didn't approach it. And there's a lot of sharks in that area, man. A lot of sharks. So I was surprised. But we spoke, and then it got to the point where I have a friend who lives down there. I was like, oh, maybe my friend can meet up, take a look at the book. Oh, my friend was there for 6 months. And the day I needed him to go down there, he had driven away and was like 800 miles from where he was.
Is that Ron?
Yeah. My
Shout
buddy,
out Ron.
Yeah, shout out Ron, man. He was like 25 miles from Portland. He was just like, oh, God, I've been there for 6 months and now you call? I was like, and so I was like, all right, well, now I'm in this situation. If I wait any longer, either he's going to get contacted or he's going to take it somewhere else. And there's a lot of big stores out there that would try to intervene and take that book from me. So I contacted him. I tried to hold him off as long as possible. Be like, hey, you know what? You don't feel comfortable probably meeting a friend of mine anyway. And, we've talked for quite a bit of time now. Why don't I just come by tomorrow? Okay. And we will just figure this out. We've kind of got an idea of what numbers we're comfortable with. And then he has questions about taxes. So there's always that. There's people who want to know what to do with these type of items. And let me tell you a story about the book where it came from too. This was bought by his dad. His dad was born in 1924, 26.
Okay.
This book came out in 1940. All right. And in 1978, he found it with his cousin and they bagged it. All right. And it's been sitting for 45 years tucked away now.
Wow.
Okay. His dad passed away in 2006 and he just came upon the box again and found it and started Googling up some of these books. And it was just like, he told me, like a reality TV show where you watch it and you find like an antique Hummel or some antique in your like a wooden cane you didn't realize is made of whatever. And you look it up and you're like, oh my God, it's the real thing. So that's what he did when he saw this book. So obviously when you don't know what you're doing, you see the prices and you just assume that that's the price, that's the grade, blah, blah, blah. So we worked from that, but it was a really surprising moment. And it was going to a really good family, just a really nice guy. It'd be him and his sister. The book was left to. And so when I convinced them that I'm going to come down and I'll just bring some money and we'll meet at a bank and I'll transfer you some money as well and we can figure this out. Let's just take a look at the book together and we'll go through it because there were some discrepancies of what the grade could be.
Yeah, he was hoping for a 5.0 and you're already going, it'd be lucky to be what?
Yeah, at that point, just to surmise part of it, we kind of concluded that he told me that the spine was almost completely split, he remembered. And he had a lot of pictures, so he sent me pictures. And I couldn't fully tell if it was completely split or not because of the way it was covered. So I gave it as like a 1.5 because if the split is that big that he said it was, it's probably closer to 1.5, maybe 1.8. Okay, he agreed. And I was like, okay, I have to book a flight. Right now, it's like 4 p.m. our time, okay? Well, West Coast. We're staying on the West Coast, so it's 4 p.m. I booked a flight for 7:30 p.m. because I wanted to get in there and sleep the night instead of coming in super early in the morning just being tired. I quickly throw together a flash sale on IG.
I saw that.
For 1 hour.
That's why you were like, dude, can you share this stuff real quick? Yeah. Repost this. Follow the Golden Age Guru on Instagram, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, man. I wanted to...
if this gets out in time for the weekend, we're doing a claim sale. And if it doesn't, we do a claim sale every single month on the Guru's Instagram. But yeah, we got some dope books and you're going to take a bunch of them over right now.
Yeah, that's right. I am. So I did a quick flash sale for an hour. I was like, you know what? Let the hobby pay for itself here.
Yeah, good rule.
Yeah, and so I quickly sold like a quick 10K plus books. Like I just threw out some books. I was like, let's just get them done. All right. And quickly asked for payment right away. Everybody was cool because I do sales all the time. And, people, it's a great community in IG if you guys aren't out there yet. It really is.
Shout out IG Comic Fam.
Yeah, seriously. So flew out. And my wife's like, you got to go, man. It's like 5:30. The airport's like 45 minutes away. So I was like, yeah, thanks, babe. I got to go. And threw some stuff in a backpack, hit the road, and landed. And when I got there, I was like, okay, I'm going to get some rest, get some food, just mentally play this out and be ready and and then got some sleep. Woke up and headed to the bank. I was like, all right, I got there like 15 minutes early. He was there like 30 minutes early. He told me he was really punctual. So he really wanted to get the lay of the land. He
wanted that money, dude. He's like, I got to go meet this guy. This guy's coming from Washington. He wants this freaking paper, this super old. It's got this like Green Lantern. I don't even look like Green Lantern on the cover. What is this guy doing?
So yeah, I get to the bank. I pull up there. He's sitting there. I meet him for the very first time. Okay. Nice guy. Has this like briefcase. Okay. Like this old leathery strappy briefcase they're in.
Did he have a handcuff on the briefcase? Is he doing any of this kind of stuff?
He had two hands on him like this, just like sitting in a chair. Like,
he's like holding it with his dear life.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, nice to meet you, I'm Jeff. And let's secure this there's a little cubicle. This is Chase Bank. Shout out to Chase Bank, by the way. I love Chase Bank. Everyone I go to is amazing. I love Chase Bank. And they had this little cubicle we can go into, so we went to this cubicle space.
Oh my gosh, you're doing this deal at a Chase Bank?
I'm doing it at Chase
You're looking
Bank.
at the comic book in there?
Bank
manager's
Chase.
like, what's this guy doing in there? Oh, I got a comic book. I don't know.
No, I mean, I went in there like I freaking own the place. I was like, forget this, man. I'm getting this deal done.
I need
Don't
an
say
office
nothing.
now.
Yeah, I was like, I need 2 pens and I need 2 envelopes right now. I really did, man. I was just like, okay, we're going to take this over. Give us time. I need 1 more chair for him because there's only 1 chair in here. Yeah, I was like, I just wanted to like, look, I'm coming in. I know what I want to do and I know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm not going to hem and haw and like, I don't know, because this is an opportunity, guys. You got to understand when you have an opportunity to pick up something, don't let a good deal, like, don't miss on a good deal, okay? And like walk away out of spite, pride necessarily, whatever.
May never happen again. Like, this is a once in a lifetime type of thing. Like, that's why this is Quentin Tarantino with. This is part of your PC, or what are you gonna do with it?
Oh, that's say my PC.
So it's a PC book just for the comic fam to know. But anyways, continue.
Actually, I've walked out on pride too, so disregard
that. I was gonna say, dude, you straight up told me, dude, I would have left there. This guy can kiss my ass.
I've done that. I flipped the table, said, screw you, I'm out of here. No, that's not true. I didn't do that, but I would leave actually on pride. But what I'm saying is just, don't walk out on stuff if you just out of like for $5. The biggest regrets I've always had is not buying a book,
right? Than
actually spending the money on it. So, anyways, we get there. He opens up this briefcase. It's got these straps over. There's no bag sports. These are like 45-year-old bags.
Oh man!
But the paper, it was tucked away, and the paper on it is like either white or off-white to white. I mean, this book's interior was nice. So I look at it, and he pulls out like 4 books. Okay, he had a Superman 3 with no back cover.
Oh, nice.
Okay, and a big spine roll and issues. It's a 0.5, and he had an All American Comics 19, first appearance of the Atom, and then another book, an All American 9, and then the All American 16. Obviously, that was easily the biggest book by far.
Sure.
So I look at the All American 19, and all that's on there, I see the All American 19 cover, and then underneath I see another cover. It's like, what? And then I quickly slide the cover off of the 19 because it's like 3/4 of the cover, not attached to anything. I was like, okay, this is an All-American 5. Here's your cover to All-American 10. And I was like, so you probably have a coverless All-American 19 somewhere because he said he had parts. So here's the cover for it. This is a complete All-American 5, which is just not worthless, but it's just an old anthology book of history stories. It doesn't have a ton of value. And I told him you probably have the back cover for the Superman 5 as well somewhere. So like, I told him I'm not really interested in those, and you probably want to pair them up for now, and we'll figure it out. Let's just work on these 2 books because we get it.
Doing him a solid, building some rapport.
And so before I handle the books, he had these rubber gloves. Okay, he's under the impression. Hey, can you please? He told me, you please wear these gloves? I was like, actually, I'm not going to wear those gloves. I don't feel comfortable wearing comics with gloves, and nor really should I because I need to be able to feel it, and I may cause more damage because.
Whoa! You're not going to wear gloves with comics?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, right. I'm not going to wear those gloves because I need to feel for any type of changes in the paper, whether it's any type of glue or any restoration. And I may catch something with the rubber of the glove and damage the book more. And I explained that to him. He's like, oh, okay, that's great. I didn't know that. So we put it aside and I just go through the book and realize immediately it's a complete spine split. It's okay, great. I don't have to freaking coddle this book. I put both covers aside. I was like, great. Let's go through the interior. Okay.
Yeah, because when the book is a certain grade, it's not going to go lower as long as you're not like lighting it on fire or dousing water on it. Like it's as low as it's going to go. And that's what happens. You can be a little bit more, Yeah,
you don't have to worry about opening it and the cover detaching or the spine splitting depending on,
it's already split.
It's split. You just move it aside and you go through the insides now. And the centerfold was attached. It was a nice book. I was like, okay, complete spine split. That's a 1.0.
Sure.
All right. And I took a bunch of photos online of 1.0s that had complete spine splits and detached covers. So eventually, he told me 1.5 because he read it on some website. And I was like, look, I just got 3 examples here. I'll show you. I never saw one with a 1.5. Maybe there was some fuddling around back in the day where you could tape your spines back together and it used to actually up the grade on the book from what I understand. But no, not anymore. That's a complete spine split. Talking to him, he came with a number. I was like, okay. And I was okay with that number, but I was like, you know what? This is where I want to be. And so we negotiated to a point where he was happy and I was happy. And give him some money. And you'll get into situations with big books too. There are a lot of people who are uncomfortable with dealing with a lot of cash or valuable items. So they actually almost want the deal to be done, and they'll just be happy to get the money. They'll be happy to not have to worry about this item because it's got value, and they see value in the dollar more than they see value in the item. So you're doing them a really big favor sometimes with these people. And I've met quite a few now when you get into these bigger items who are just want it out of their possession and move on and take that money and do something with it that, they rather enjoy doing. So we got done with the deal, gave him the money, gave him a check, said bye. And what I did do, because I wanted the deal to be official, is I was like, let's use your gloves. So we each put on one glove and shook hands and said, hey,
because COVID, of course.
Because of COVID. I was like, all right, let's just do it. And so this is my glove in memory of it with the comic on top of it. And
now you have an All-American.
All-American 19. I left the bank unbelievably happy, and I'm still shocked,
Spill the beans, man. You're back on the show.
All right.
Podcast 36, Comic Fam. Hit the subscribe button. What's going down?
All right, let's throw in some numbers then, okay? Let's talk about it. I paid, let's just say, above 20 for this book, okay? Which I did. Below 30, above 20.
$20? Okay. $30?
1,000, okay?
Okay, there you go.
This book, I feel, on a really good day at auction, could probably be 35,000, give or take, okay? Then you include, but for somebody to go do that who had financial concerns of tax repercussions and stuff going to auction houses, if you think about that, if an auction house takes 20% buyer's premium from that price, so it adds 20% to it, and then they take 10% more from you, that's 30% off the actual sale price.
Right.
So if something sold for $35,000 and you take 30% of that, what is that going to be? $10,500 gone. So now it becomes an item that you just now, and then all that money goes to you to be recorded through the IRS, which is also another scare for a lot of people. So these are things you can play on and work for to give you a good deal on a book, and yet they still get the same money. Mm-hmm. They don't have to brag about some price that they got online when they really didn't get that number.
Right.
So we both got to a great point where I was happy with my number. He was happy with his. And now we're just both, keep on keeping on.
What's the plan for this book? Are you sending it to get graded? Are you going to try to restore it? What are you going to do?
I'm definitely not going to restore it. Okay. I'm going to just enjoy it as much as possible.
Why definitely?
Obviously, restoration takes away from value. And all it does for me is maybe add eye appeal.
Yeah.
This book's got great eye appeal already. So I don't necessarily need that. I don't think there's anything here that needs conservation. So I'm not going to have to worry about that. So for me, I like blue label books. I don't care for all those other colors unless it's maybe yellow.
Sure.
Or black label or tuxedo label for pedigrees. Right? So, and plus I don't know if I want to put any more money into it because it's going to cost quite a bit to get it graded. So I'll keep it raw for now. I'm sure it'll end up encapsulated at some point.
I want to see it in a slab, man. I'm super hyped because then we can bring it back to the mic and show the comic community. Comic fan, what do you think about this? This is crazy stuff, man. I appreciate you bringing this to the table to share a little bit about the process. I'm covered in cat hair right now because Butch demanded to chill with us because when we're chilling with our homies, that's what we do. And we now have a grail in the family because your family, Jeff. And because you're family, that means I actually have partial ownership of this as well. So I'm really excited when you do get it graded. You have to bring it back is the point. You have to bring it back. I want to see it in the slab. Comic fan, we're putting pictures up. It doesn't do it justice to see a picture of this book. This is one of those ones where if you go to a convention, you have to go to the dealer floor. We always recommend it, even just to look. This is one that would go behind glass, This would be one that you would have to see through something else. And seeing it this close in person is a really special thing.
It's an extremely rare book. There's less of this book.
I've never seen one in person
than Action
ever.
One.
I don't think I've ever seen one at a show.
Yeah, or Tech 27. The only ones I've ever seen, and I've seen just a couple of late in the last couple years, and I go to a lot of shows, have been restored. Okay, so I haven't seen a blue label one in a long time. And so it is a really special book.
Comic fam, I want to know your thoughts about this in the comment section below. Maybe Jeff will continue to bring his books from the PC to share with us on the mic. And we're going to end the show today with a highlight of a comic book, one that we've been chatting about on and off for like, dude, it's been like 6 months, man. We just, every once in a while, I'm talking to this guy, he's telling me about going to San Francisco to pick up a first Golden Age Green Lantern and stuff. But then the conversation will like turn, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, but dude, you seeing Ghost Rider? What's going on with Ghost Rider, man? What's going on? What, did I miss something? Marvel Spotlight 5, man, break it out. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, like I don't understand what's the hype behind this book. I mean, I get the character, I do.
We're highlighting a book here. We're gonna try to bring that back to the mic. Something that we just want to talk about for no reason besides in the dealer circle, we're talking about it. And the comic fam's here, and they're gonna join us.
Yeah, comic highlight, Marvel Spotlight 5, first appearance of Ghost Rider.
The freaking superheroes coming out the gate after the code being removed, like it's a freaking anchor on creativity. And then all of a sudden the Bronze Age horror gets involved. And then the macabre combines with the superhero to make one of the most incredible, unique superheroes of all time. We have the Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. Nick Cage played this character in a movie, and both of those films are anytime movies for me. I don't even care what the comic fam says. They are part of the Marvel universe, and I'm very happy that they were made. Just like National Treasure 1 and 2.
I like National Treasure.
I love those movies. I just like Nick Cage, man. But dude, this is a great book. And at a 9.2, you know, you actually brought, like, just coincidentally, you know, you brought these because of the grade, the Marvel, the Master Kung Fu, first Shang-Chi, I can't speak. But this Marvel Spotlight was a separate conversation to bring to the table to talk about, because this has been a book that just keeps creeping up for no reason. And we're going to get into that. But both share a commonality of the dreaded black cover. It just kills the grade more times than not. And I'm holding a 9.2 comic fam of the first appearance of Ghost Rider, and it is near flawless. This is a gorgeous book.
Yeah, look, there's no, like, anything saying that Ghost Rider's going to be in the MCU.
The last time people were speculating on this was the Hellstrom show, which we knew was a series that was made in the past that they just had a debut because it was right at the turn of Disney Plus getting its thing going, you know, getting its traction, and it was going to happen. And they were going to release it and then likely never do anything again with it. So the hope was that, yeah, we were going to see Ghost Rider and like Midnight Suns and all that kind of play out. But then it was like kiboshed really quick. It's like New Mutants, for example. New Mutants, was it ever going to come out? Years went by, and when it did, no one really felt like we would ever see them again. And I don't think anyone does.
Yeah, I mean, this, like, I like the representation, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know if you got to see Ghost Rider
great.
there.
I
thought they did a good job.
I like that.
So I think that added a little bit of heat to this character.
But as much heat as this book has right now?
But like, this book is heating up like a lot of the other books. But let me give you some examples. I sold 5 copies of this book last year, and I had no problem selling because I had no concerns about getting another one or for reasonable or finding them. It's
definitely one of those books where you're like, I'll get it eventually if you really want it. Like I think there's a lot of members experiencing that right now where they're like, yeah, man. I mean, dude, you used to be able to get an FF1, a low grade, for $2,000 to $3,000. And I'm talking like, you know, like a 1.0, 1.5, maybe 2.0, you know, maybe it gets a little bit up there. On the con floor, there's like 12 of them. If you want them, they're there. Good luck now.
Oh, yeah. Your 2.0 is going to cost you probably 10 to 12 grand right now.
10, 12.
I think a friend of mine sold his 1.8 just for over 10 the other day. But I sold a 9.4 a year ago, you know, maybe 10 months ago. All right, I think it was $4,500 or somewhere around there. Okay. We just saw a 9.0 in March. Okay, and it's probably worth more now. Sell for, I think it was almost $6,500. There's like 2 sales that were between $6,200 and $6,500.
Yeah, lower grade and selling for more.
Yeah, quite a bit lower. I mean, 9.4, 9.0, right?
Drastically lower.
So like, that's just showing you like this. Like the reason I bought this to sell it. Okay, and I had it raw for a little bit, and I had it graded, and within that time frame of like 3-4 months, this book went up so much. I was like, well, now I have to keep this book just because I don't know when I'm going to replace it again. I'm just like, God, I never thought I would keep it for my collection because it's like, I'll just get it and add it, whatever. But now I'm like, if I sell this now, when am I going to get another anytime soon? I mean, should I keep it now and then sell it when another comes in? And I'm thinking that's just what it's going to have to be. But it's just interesting how fast everything is moving, and specifically this book. And I think there's quite a few of this book out there. Obviously not 9.8. 9.8's ridiculous.
Scarce.
Yeah, tough. Just like the Werewolf by Night 32 and 9.8. It's extremely difficult.
It's that black cover, man.
Yeah. So like if you look at this says here, this is 8.72. Okay. This is 12.72. So let me take a look at the price difference. All right. And
you held up the 8.72 for the Ghost Rider.
Yeah. 8.72 for the Marvel Spotlight 5, first Ghost Rider. And the first Shang-Chi, okay, is what, 5 months later.
Right.
So, I mean, you can look at the big price discrepancy here, and you're going to see that the rising tide raises all boats for a reason. And we're going to see some more price increases on the Special Armor Edition 15, especially if this movie hits the way it should hit. And even if it doesn't, to be honest, there's no reason it's going to really go back down much. Once it gets to a certain point, things may drop a little bit here and there and plateau, but they're not just going to plummet.
Well, dude, they doubled in a couple weeks. So, I mean, all signs ahead are looking good for the comic industry. We are seeing conventions firsthand take place. You were there looking at prices, looking at more members, hunting for comics, being safe. Shout out to all the members who are going out of their way wearing masks and doing things right. But it's going to be an entirely new world that we're going back to. And I'm excited to get to it.
I just want to address something specifically. There's a lot of people who are out here that are just, always claiming, oh, it's all going to drop. It's all ridiculous. Comics are this, comics are that. And they're just going to wait for the big dump. And I'm just like, listen, man, people have been saying that for
my entire freaking life.
So instead of like, I don't want to be that person who's constantly waiting for something terrible to happen. I want to be involved in it, and I'm in it, and I'm enjoying this hobby and being a part of it instead of being afraid of something. And then like all of a sudden you're going to be that person who's been saying it for 15, 20 years. And then when it happens, you'll be like, I told you so. I was like, no, I'm going to enjoy that 15, 20 years. And I'm going to realize that it's not just going to drop. Okay. Right. It's been going up, and you've missed quite a bit if you've been too afraid to get into it. Now listen, these prices are really difficult to approach right now. And I get that. I 110% get that. It's ridiculous for us too, who sell it and then have to recoup it again just to offer it again. Like, it's hard to find these things for value to get to people so they can also approach the book.
Not even including the raising CGC prices, eBay fees, taxes on eBay stuff, increasing shipping prices. I mean, like, we're seeing across the board, this hobby is getting more and more expensive. However, it's also growing. We are seeing a countless amount of new people getting into comics by the day. If you go just by Disney Plus numbers and look at what Falcon and Winter Soldier debuted at, the highest watched Disney Plus show to date. And if you were to calculate 1% of that viewership having an inkling, a little interest to just Google a comic book, just to see if they want to dip their toe in the industry, we're talking an increase of over 30,000 people entering this market in the last couple months.
It's not going to take many people to influence this market, like, at all.
It's already happening. Those who feel like we're in a bubble, they're just not realizing what's actually going on around them. They're not waiting Thursday nights like I am to experience a essentially movie provided by Marvel on my screen at home every single week with another series lined up, not to mention an entire universe that's expanding in the Star Wars realm. We're just talking about Marvel, let alone what DC is doing.
Exactly. So, and if you feel priced out, I get it. And it just is what it is. You're going to have to work your way towards certain books these days.
We all did.
Yeah, we all did, but it's different now. It's harder. It's a whole nother thing, but there's a lot of books to get in there. So you got to look where people aren't. You know what I mean? Aren't like the majority are not looking, and just put your money in something that's just solid character. I mean, there's still a lot of value to be had there, and you can do that. I mean, you can look I'm just looking at X-Men 266. I mean, first Omega Red and 9.8. I mean,
You could have bought X-Men 266 First Gambit under a year ago for less than $700. You could have gotten this Static a year ago for like half of what I just paid for it. Do I need to even talk about X-Men 4 Omega Red right now?
No, but you should.
I mean, there's a 10. I literally was just chatting with Very Gary about that book being a $10 to $20 book for years.
Yeah.
You know, like there are entry books that you can get into, invest in. It doesn't always have to be a golden age book that's worth over $20,000. You know, a lot of dealers and collectors, they start working with modern books, or they work with, you know, Bronze Age books, and they look where, you know, things that haven't taken off just yet. And I encourage the community members to download Key Collector, to know your Overstreet price guide, you know, and to frequent conventions as soon as they start, because you can learn the same amount from those other resources that I just mentioned as going to a convention and seeing the books in person and talking with your community members and being part of the comic fam.
And you guys, sometimes you just got to work hard and just to find it. And
You
that's
do.
part of it. Like,
The
we
hunt
all,
is real,
we all
man.
do it, man.
This whole show is about traveling.
Yeah,
it's about putting money down, taking risks.
Getting
you know?
value for, you know, your efforts and your knowledge, because really, you know, you're not always there to educate a person. Like, that's their job, man. I've come to the conclusion where, like, I'm not here to educate you. You're not paying me to educate you.
Right.
I'm here to get your books. You've done your research. Okay. If I need to make an offer, I'll make whatever I think's a fair offer. Okay, we can go from there. But, like, I'm not here to educate the person and feel like I should have paid more or be judged by somebody else that, like, you should have given them. Like, what? Like, you know, top travel, effort, knowledge, years of experience.
Multiple phone calls, sometimes with
like,
nutty people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you do what you got to do, but you also, you know, you have integrity.
Yeah, I'm not going to find some 85-year-old lady who needs the money and be like, hey, here's like 25 cents a book for your, you know, golden age collection.
No, you got to be able to sleep at night.
No, you have to be able to sleep at night. But, like, you know, a lot of judginess going on, a lot of judgy eyes, a lot of just judginess. So it's like, leave it alone, man. Let everyone live their life. Let everyone collect the way they want to collect. Just don't be scummy, you know, and respect other collectors, and hopefully they'll respect you back.
You know, that's doing what we like to do pretty regularly here. We like to call that geeking responsibly, you know. And Comic Fam, I want to know your thoughts on FOMO, fear of missing out. We're going to be coming back to the mic, chatting about FOMO. It's a real thing. We all have stories, and I want to know your stories. Let us know in the comment section below. Comment. It will enter you to win a Joker #1 Raph Grassetti trade dress version of Joker #1 that just came out by James Tynan IV. We appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. It's been nice to be able to come back. It's nice for us to be able to hit the table comfortably, bring the podcast back to the best community in the world, as always.
Geek responsibly.
Enough said.